My name is Sindoni. Thank you for tuning into the broadcast of the Great Fire of New York, 1776 Revealed. To better understand the events surrounding the Great Fire of New York in 1776, I will set up the timeline. On July 5th, 1775, the Continental Congress adopts the Olive Branch Petition, which expresses hope for reconciliation with Britain, appealing directly to the King for help in achieving this. In August, King George III refuses to even look at the petition. Instead, he issues a proclamation declaring the Americans to be in a state of open rebellion. On July 6, 1775, the Continental Congress issues a declaration on the causes and necessity of taking up arms, detailing the colonists' reasons for fighting the British, and states the Americans are resolved to die free rather than live as slaves. On December 23, 1775, King George III issues a royal proclamation closing the American colonies to all commerce and trade, to take effect on March of 1776. On January 9, 1776, Thomas Paine Common Sense is published in Philadelphia. The 50-page pamphlet is highly critical of King George III. The book attacks allegiance to monarchy in principle while pronouncing strong arguments for American independence. It becomes an instant bestseller in America. We have it in our power to begin the world anew. America shall make a stand not for herself alone, but for the world, Paine states. March 4th to March 17th, 1776, American forces captured Dorchester Heights, which overlooks Boston Harbor. Captured British artillery from Fort Ticonderoga is placed on the heights to enforce the siege against the British in Boston. The British evacuate Boston and set sail for Halifax. George Washington then rushes to New York to set up defenses, anticipating the British plan to invade New York City. April 6, 1776, the Continental Congress declares colonial shipping ports open to all traffic except the British. The Continental Congress has already authorized privateer raids on British ships and also advised disarming all Americans loyal to England. On April 12, 1776, the North Carolina Assembly is the first to empower its delegates in the Continental Congress to vote for independence from Britain. On May 2, 1776, the American revolutionaries get the much-needed foreign support that they had hoped for. King Louis XVI of France commits $1 million in arms and munitions. Spain then also promises support. Then on May 10, 1776, the Continental Congress authorizes each of the 13 colonies to form local provincial governments. On June 28, 1776, in South Carolina, American forces at Fort Moultrie successfully defend Charleston against a British naval attack and inflict heavy damage on the fleet. In June and July of 1776, a massive British war fleet arrives in New York Harbor consisting of 30 battleships with 1,200 cannons, 30,000 soldiers, 10,000 sailors, and 300 supply ships under the command of General William Howe and his brother Admiral Lord Richard Howe. Also in the same period between June to July of 1776, on June 7th, Richard Henry Lee, a Virginia delegate to the Continental Congress, presents a formal resolution calling for America to declare its independence from Britain. On July 4th, 1776, the United States Declaration of Independence is signed in Philadelphia. Then on July 12, 1776, at the request of the British, General George Washington meets with Howe's representatives in New York and listens to vague offers of clemency for the American rebels. Washington politely declines and then leaves. On August 27 to 29th, General Howe leads 15,000 soldiers against Washington's army in the Battle of Long Island. General George Washington is outnumbered 2-1, suffering a severe defeat as his army is outflanked and scatters. The Americans retreat to Brooklyn Heights, facing possible capture by the British or even total surrender. But at night, the Americans cross the East River in small boats and escape to Manhattan, then evacuate New York City and retreat up through Manhattan Island to Harlem Heights. Washington now changes tactics, avoiding large-scale battles with the British by a series of retreats. Then on September 11, 1776, a peace conference is held on Staten Island with British Admiral Lord Richard Howe meeting American representatives, including John Adams and Benjamin Franklin. The peace conference fails as Howe demands the colonists to revoke the Declaration of Independence. Then on September 16, 1776, after evacuating New York City, Washington repulses a British attack during the Battle of Harlem Heights in Upper Manhattan. Several days later, on September 21, 1776, at a little past midnight, a fire broke out in a little brothel in a wooden building on the wharf called the Fighting Cock's Tavern on Whitehall Street. Strong winds quickly spread the flames among tightly packed homes and businesses. Residents poured into the streets, clutching what possessions they could, and found refuge only on the grassy town commons. The fire raged into the daylight hours and eventually consumed 500 buildings, about one-third of the city. British naval personnel fought the fire with little success. Shortly afterwards, the British interrogated more than 200 suspects, but none of them were convicted and all were released. On the following day, on September 22, 1776, Nathan Hale was arrested in Queens for spying. Unsubstantiated rumors have since attempted to link Hale to the fires, though there is nothing indicated he was arrested for anything other than espionage. After he was caught spying, Nathan Hale was executed without a trial. In his last words, he had this to say: "I only regret that I have but one life to lose for my country." General Howard's report made the charge that the accident was the work of Whig conspirators.